I really enjoyed my soils class this semester. I hadn't really thought about soil before I took this class, to be honest. I really love plants. I'm obsessed with trees, and it had never occurred to me that there could be a whole little universe going on amongst the root systems of some of my favorite organisms. I've just been amazed to learn how there's different types of soils and they create different ecosystems. It's been really intriguing to learn that we have all of the 10 different soil types in BC, and just get an understanding of how varied our province is. And I've really loved learning about those different soil types. I think my favorite is a podzol, just because I really love coniferous forests. They're my favorite places to be, and being in a coniferous forest is almost like a spiritual experience for me. And so it's been really cool to learn how that soil forms, and also how glaciation works in BC, and how affected BC has been by glaciation and other geological processes. It's been incredible to find out about the different soil layers, humus forms, and everything that goes into forming a soil. And also just how a soil forms over time and the youth of our BC soils. And then relating that even to what's been going on in BC the last few weeks. Just understanding why we drained Sumas Lake in the prairie, or Sumas Lake in the 20s, and understanding it's because we have so little good agricultural soil here in BC. And then also learning how, when a debris flow happens, that's what forms a regisol, or one of the ways it can form, and just recognizing that that's what's been happening right now in BC.
I really enjoyed doing soil pits this term. I think it was my favorite activity. I loved the act of digging them. I loved seeing the horizons and seeing the evidence of glaciation, stream formation as I was digging, and just getting to know the history of the land I was standing on was really cool. I think feeling soil in between your fingers is also really grounding and a good mental health practice, and it's not just gardening that I can do that with, and I'm excited about that. I also really enjoyed seeing the chief on our field trip. It was super amazing to be able to see evidence of just different types of rock formation that I had been learning about in class, and just looking at it, recognizing it's a monolith and there's a crack with extrinsic basalt running through it was super cool. And I loved that. And finally, I also really enjoyed going to Britannia Mine and learning about mining and how acid rock drainage is formed. I worked as an administrative assistant in that industry, and it was really cool to be able to tie some things together and just have a better understanding of how that all works.
I really like eating hummus, and since taking this class, I've also learned that I really like hummus. I think it was my favorite topic in the class, and just largely because I didn't, realize the difference between organic layers and soil, and just how they can mix and interact and all of that process. In fact, for my very first soil sample, I just brought in a bag of hummus and or like a jar of humus, and had to redo the soil sample because I hadn't actually grabbed like soil, just organic material. And so learning about humus forms, yeah, I've just loved it. And I didn't know anything about the mycelial network and how it interacts with trees until taking this program. And digging up the humus form in the woodlot and seeing the little mycelial filaments in the F layer was incredible to me. I think that a moor is my favorite humus form, just because I love coniferous forests so much, and that interaction between trees and the fungal network is just one that I'm so immensely curious about. I want to keep learning about. I want to learn more about like trees and the forest relationship and the whole ecosystem's relationship with soil and how all of that interacts. And that's something I plan to read about over winter break and keep learning about in school. It was really cool to learn about the different layers of humus, like starting with the L layer, the litter layer, moving to the fermented layer, and then to like the fully decomposed humus layer. And also just learning that there are 3 different types. There's the moor, which is broken down by fungus only, just because of the conditions in a coniferous forest. There's a mull, which is typically found on grasslands and is broken down by organisms mixing the soil together and eating it and doing all of their activities. And then learning about how, like, a forest like this that's a combination of coniferous and deciduous trees, and largely deciduous, is motor, and how that humus form is a combination of mycelium and organisms. I'm really excited to keep learning about all of that, and I think I don't know enough about grasslands as well, and how a mull like works. It's definitely not what we experience very often, at least here in the West Coast, and so I'd like to keep learning more about that as well.